They believe in Saquon Barkley. They believe in their offensive line. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they're declining players.
Go to Brian Garner. What's up, Brian? Thank you, buddy, for the $20 super chat. Brian Garner says, AJ is right. The league adjusted to them after the 22 season. Offense was top 10 in 23, but not as effective. The adjustment in 24 was Barkley. The league has adjusted. The offense needs to get better, point blank.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of the all-encompassing adjustment word. Like, I think that's a buzzword. Like, and, Vic is great on this. He's like, he laughed at halftime adjustments, for instance. You're adjusting after every play. If you're doing what
I do think you're right about the being all-encompassing, but there is a level of it, like week 4 last year. Perfect example of like where an adjustment was clearly.
Well, yeah, they're constantly adjusting. The assumption that adjustment means improving, like you're going to improve because you make it. They're constantly adjusting.
22, 23, and I know we don't like to go back that far because it's a while ago. They weren't a risk-averse offense.
Oh, it completely changed with Barkley.
Yeah. And then they go 20. So now it's like it feels like it was going this way, and then they.
That proves my point because they've been adjusting that entire way, that entire frame, that entire. They've done different things. They adjusted.
All their adjustments in the last year have been geared toward the risk-averse approach, and I think many people now believe it's time to adjust back the other way.
Well, that's fine, but that's the more superficial than, and again to the point of just assuming like different is going to be successful. Could be worse. The key is finding the right. And by the way, they made a significant adjustment in the mini buy after the Giants lost, which everybody can see. They went under center a heck of a lot more. They pulled out these big Fred packages. What are they? Now, again, these are not the adjustments they want, but those are adjustments. They're constantly adjusting. That's why I don't like that word because it's thrown around like they do the same thing they're objectively, they just made a huge shift 3 games ago. Everybody could see it. You don't have to listen to me.
Again, philosophy-wise, they didn't. They adjusted within the philosophy, and the philosophy is what AJ Brown.
Well, the overriding again
is going to get them got.
Everything depends on everything depends on definition. So you're presumably saying, well, it's in the encompassing of the run first risk averse, which is yes, it's true, but from the standpoint of doing something dramatically different, going under center for them was dramatically different. Dramatically. And they did it.
Schematically, for sure, but not philosophically.
But that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, you could shift it any way you want definitionally. But is that an adjustment? If you're being honest, completely 100%?
Absolutely. I'm not saying. Yeah.
So, I mean, that word, you can't play an NFL game from the worst team, whoever you think the worst team is, Tennessee, to the best team. You can't play an NFL game without adjusting. They do it all the time. Bad teams, good teams, mediocre teams.
Well, that's where I think it's deeper than just the adjustment conversation. It's the philosophy conversation, because if you're adjusting within a philosophy, but the philosophy's broken or doesn't work. Now, hey, it's not broken. I get it. Everyone's going to be like, we're 7-2. They won the Super Bowl. You're fucking wrong. It's not broken. I get it. But AJ seems to think that it's going to get them burnt. And he's looking for adjustments that are outside of that philosophical approach, as opposed to what you're talking about, which is adjustments. Yes, they are adjusting every week, but they're all within the same risk.
Well, yeah, but I was answering the question on adjustment. I said my feeling on adjustment. I've also said my feeling on the philosophy. I think they're too risk averse.
Yeah. All right.
To me, it's a different conversation. But people, what I'm trying to say is, and Brian, and I'm not picking on Brian because most fans are obsessed with this idea of adjustment. And again, I point to Peyton Manning and saying, halftime adjustments, Vic laughs at them. Peyton said, yeah, I go in, take a leak, and have a couple orange slices. That's my halftime adjustments. And not that they're not mocking the idea, but you're doing it the entire game. You're doing it after the first series, after the second series. You saw Matt LaFleur completely turn his back on the defense. What was he doing? He was trying to figure out what the hell was going on so he could get his offense back on. It's constant with every team.
Brian, thanks for the super chat, brother. Here's Joshua Jackson. What's up, Joshua? It's a simple offense that relies on talent over scheme, and Hurts' cautious style means when defense is key on A.J. Brown, he opts for safer throws. A.J. did shed light on that as well, the way defenses have been playing him this year, not adjusting to get him open there.
Well, if you watch Jalen Hurts for his entire career, and I presume you have, he's more risk averse now than he was before. So it's not now. He was always a good ball security quarterback, and I remember talking after the 2023 season, all of the time, and saying I think he's going to be fine because he's been the longer sample size when it came to ball security is this guy takes care of the football. And I said, I think he's going to be fine long term because Dak had a year like that. Same thing is long term.
I remember that conversation.
Long term, he was very ball security. He was very good with ball security. And I said it'll probably regress to the mean. And that'll happen with Jalen as well. And it did happen with Jalen. And then they amped it up even further to get more conservative and risk averse. But he hasn't always played this way. And he's always been a great ball security quarterback, and that's gotten even better by playing this style. Which by playing this style, admittedly, you give up a lot of things as well.
No doubt. And my other problem but my other comment would be, I know they've been very successful with the risk averse approach, but they were pretty successful without it too before they went to it. I mean, they did come within a holding call of winning a Super Bowl.
And by the way,
if they weren't risk averse that year, they were pretty aggressive that year, I would say.
Well, they didn't have, again, it all harkens to Saquon Barkley. They didn't, and by the way, if Saquon Barkley gets hurt, and I think nobody wants that, and I certainly don't want it. I never want to get any player to hurt. They change immediately.
Yeah, but the demonstrated, going off of 25, Saquon hasn't, and I don't know if it's his fault or not. That's a different conversation. The success of that running game has not been a crutch, because when you do play risk averse offense, that means you do need crutches, right? Last year they had the number one defense. Defense looks good this year. Last year they had the number one running. They had a historic running game. I mean, how many running backs have run for full seasons in NFL history? Saquon was top 10 of all time.
He's number one of all time if you include the playoffs.
Number
one.
Top 10 in regular season. But my point is they had that crutch. Through 9 games, they do not have that crutch this year. And I think that's why AJ is frustrated, because he's like, we don't have the crutches that we had last year. We have to evolve.
I know when he's frustrated, but that doesn't change the fact that you don't change in the middle of the season, that make drastic change. And what is more likely to happen? What I said, they believe in Saquon Barkley. They believe in their offensive line. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they're declining players. But they believe in those players. And they believe that this is their best way to go get another trophy. Maybe they're wrong, but that's the belief. Their belief isn't looking.
Does any of it come from upstairs above Nick?
No. It's completely Nick. If it were Jeffrey, I mean.
I was going to say, Jeffrey's one of the high-flying offense since he bought the damn team.
But the point is, and look, if we were having a debate, which Nick yelled at some point yesterday, and if I was having a debate to him, I would say, I would have to admit that his sort of thesis is better than the other thesis where, hey, let's let's strap this down to the struts and rebuild it as a passing offense in week 9 and week 10 and week 11. We're week 11 now. Yeah, I that's an off-season project. And by the way, they might undergo that project, but that's an off-season project.
Here's Joshua again. Joshua, thank you for the double super chat, my friend. He says Kevin must scheme AJ open. AJ must win routes, and Hurts must throw quicker and trust him on 1v1s. Timing and trust will fix the Eagles' passing game. I don't think it's that simple.
Well, AJ would like a lot more trust. That part I agree with. The idea of scheming people, I think it's so overrated. But you know, the one-on-one, the timing, that's not coming. I mean, this is not, and this is an indictment of 90% of young quarterbacks. And Jalen's not that young anymore, but 90% of young quarterbacks coming into the NFL these days, they throw to open receivers in college. They don't throw timing routes. They just don't. The old idea of throwing receivers open, you might see it a couple times this week from the other team. It's rare, and it's getting rarer. And it's going to be extinct soon.
You're probably right. Once Matthew Stafford leaves the league, he's going to do a number on that approach for sure. Joshua, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Here's Dwayne. What's up, Dwayne? Thanks for being here, Dwayne. Guys, don't forget to hit that like button this morning. We appreciate it. We've been crushing it on likes here on Birds 365. So we do appreciate everybody for checking in today. All the comments that are coming in, all super chats will go to the top. We will get into the injury report. Nick, Jalen's comments, and then we'll start to talk about this Lions game coming up. This is a good Lions team, man. Dwayne says, looking forward to seeing how Jalen Phillips does against Penei Sewell. You think it's possible we re-sign him? That's going to be a good matchup. Penei Sewell.
I think it's very possible. I don't think this is going to be his best week, but no. I think it's very possible.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know. Obviously, Jalen is, and we're going to talk to Vic later today, but Jalen is more comfortable, I assume, playing off that left overhang position. But boy, this is a week where I'd like to get him away from that left overhang position. If he's comfortable, and I don't know if he is, but yeah, Penei Sewell is, in my opinion, and this is a big statement because I get to see maybe the greatest right tackle of all time is the best offensive lineman in football, Penei Sewell, right now.
He's damn good. There's no doubt about it. He's a versatile player too. Super athletic, man. Rare you see a guy that good at tackle with that much athleticism. He's an amazing player. Dwayne, thanks for the super. Charles, what's up, Charles? Do you sense some regular season fatigue from this team? Have they developed a survive and advance mentality? Good question.
Yeah, there's certain fatigue, and that's what made the Patriots great all those years, to be able to go late into a season and do it again and be successful. And there's certainly a fatigue to it. And yeah, I'm certain that, look, in a lot of ways, I don't like the comparisons to 2023 and the collapse, because the collapse to me was defensive driven and it was a shit show, which, by the way, is what AJ called the offense. But the defense was an absolute shit show. This defense is very good. So I don't like it. But the one part I would compare 2023 to is the joy conversation. They have no fucking joy, man. They're miserable all the time. All the time. It's always something with this team.
Isn't that a part of people that pursue greatness, though? I mean, they set this standard. They've talked about, we've talked about the golden age. Jalen talks about a standard that he wants to get. Isn't that part of that? Like people like Tom Brady, people like Tiger Woods, people like they're all miserable. Because Kobe Bryant, they're miserable.
Well, and this is where Steve Kerr is a guy that Nick brings up all the time, because he follows, I guess he's got 4 leadership principles, blah, 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 core coaching philosophy. And one of them is joy. not losing the fun and love of the game. And obviously he's had success with multiple championships. So you gotta find some joy in the accomplishment. Otherwise, you're just gonna be a constant
or you got to find joy in the misery. If that makes sense.
whatever. However you find you gotta find it somehow. And it's easy for most people. It's not easy for some people. Otherwise, you're Eeyore. Everybody's Eeyore. Everybody's walking around there like Eeyore. They're the number one seed. And the easy thing to do is blame it on the media. Yeah, look, if they could have, and I'm sure they would like to eliminate us from the facility. They could do it tomorrow. There's still going to be a bunch of Eeyores because they're going to get their phones out and they're going to read social media and they're going to read somebody taking a shot at them and they're going to be Eeyores. They got to find some freaking joy.
Fair enough. Last super chat here, then we'll move on. Brian Garner followed up on his $20 super chat. Brian, thanks for the support today, my man. I only have 225 characters, guys. I'm talking about the philosophy. Yeah, they limit you on super chats. So, yeah.